What if I tell you that there's a place in Nigeria where the rich and the poor basically live together, and in some cases they actually do share a fence, but not for actually good reasons? You see, in somewhere like Lagos, where we have the island and the mainland, which some people do interpret as the rich versus the poor, which is not always the case, because we also have very rich people living on the mainland. I have businesses doing on the mainland. On the island, we have rich people, famous people, a lot of celebrities, and of course, almost everybody wants to live at Lekki. Almost everybody wants to live on the island. But unlike Lagos, Abuja is the federal capital, and Abuja is known to have very rich and powerful people simply because it's the seat of power. Abuja has its own kind of lifestyle. I mean, the rich vibes. That's where you see trust fund people. I mean, you see politicians, you see all kinds of real estate, really expensive real estate. So the real question here is, why do the rich and the poor actually do share a fence in Abuja? Here's what I found. The first reason is overpriced real estate. I mean, it's no news that the cost of real estate in Abuja is actually ridiculously expensive. You can get houses for as much as $5 million, $7 million right here in Abuja.
This gigantic and heavy mansion is selling for just 480 million naira. It's plenty. All this for just 480 million naira. Wow.
But why are houses really this expensive? It's actually because of the cost of land. Landed properties in Abuja are actually really expensive. So if landed properties are actually expensive, they actually mean that homes in Abuja will be generally expensive, which is why it is hard for people to actually afford this home. When they come to Abuja, they discover that there are no affordable homes, which drives a lot of people to stay in slums. And these slums are located close to these estates or close to this very pricey neighborhood. I mean, what does Abuja actually produce aside politicians? Some people say a huge part of the real estate in Abuja is just a form of mudblood. Another reason for this is the unsettlement of the actual indigenes of Abuja, which is the Plagi people. When Abuja was created and lands were taken, these people were promised to be resettled and compensated properly. But in other words, in Abuja, the land doesn't belong to anybody. I mean, the land belongs to the government. You can't come to Abuja and just buy land. You will most likely be scammed because the land actually belongs to the government. You have to go through government process and several other processes to confirm that that land has not been allocated to anybody. When lands were taken by the government, we discovered that these people had to resettle, and their resettlements were basically very close to these urban areas or to these places where developments were taking place. That's why you always find a slum very close to these places. The final reason is what I would call the Abuja hype. When a lot of people want to come to Abuja, they actually think that they can come to Abuja, get the right connections to some politician or to a real estate company or to some business mogul, because almost everybody have a house in Abuja. Almost every influential person have a house in Abuja, either at Uzapi or Itama, Asokoro, one of those prime places.
You will make it. Your time will come one day.
When they get to Abuja, their reality is being shoved in their faces that it's not all rosy here, and then they have to relocate to these slums in order to meet up with the lifestyle, especially because rent is really expensive in Abuja. I mean, in some places in Abuja, you can be renting an apartment, a self-contained apartment, just one room apartment for as much as 1.2 million naira in some places. I mean, a lot of Nigerians are really poor, but not a lot of Nigerians can afford that. A lot of people that come into Abuja are also skilled workers that work with the real estate. I mean, real estate companies build houses, they build homes to sell for people. But a lot of the workers, a lot of the people that work on this construction sites, they can't afford to rent these same houses. So they have to rent houses in this slum and then go to the construction sites to work, which is actually not balanced. In Abuja, you find the extremely rich and the extremely poor. I mean, literally sharing a fence. You discover that an estate is right here, and just beside the estate, you actually see that these other guys, they don't even have clean water. I took a trip to an estate somewhere in Lifecam, which is actually the Brains and Hammers City estate. And just right behind it is actually a very huge slum, which is Idu Karimo. I took a walk around an estate, and I found behind the estate one of the craziest slums I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the place was dirty, smelly. It was just so surreal, and just right beside it was an estate I mean, it was just not balanced at all. Then I discovered that this is actually replicated everywhere in Abuja. You always have the extremely rich and the extremely poor just living close by. And then you now discover that over time, the government demolishes these slums and they keep getting pushed back. So when you destroy a slum, you go somewhere else and start rebuilding. So it's like a never-ending circle. This is another place that looks like a developing estate, and just right in front of it is an entire community, which is actually a slum. I'm sure that you can already tell that they are not even sharing a fence. I mean, you could literally walk out from one and walk into the other, which is actually really wild. Just to confirm this theory, I took another trip again to another place that looks like a developing estate, and again, just right behind it is a very huge slum. I mean, in this place, you could already tell that people literally don't have access to real basic amenities. I mean, people literally have their baths outside. I mean, you can take a look at this right here. And this is basically because decent apartments in Abuja is really expensive. I mean, there are so many houses in Abuja that are locked up. I mean, people own estates and they lock it for strange reasons.
And this man bought everything and locked the gate.
In Abuja?
Yes, in Abuja.
Nobody's living there.
Nobody's living there.
So there are other people that don't have homes, right? That can't even afford to actually rent homes. And these people a lot of them are actually skilled workers. They came to Abuja to work and then they discovered that, oh, they can't pay the rent. Okay, let them settle and before you know it, we have clusters of slum, and then we have one of the biggest slums at Pape. Pape is known to have one of the biggest slums in Abuja, or if not the biggest slum in Abuja. And right very close to Pape, you also discover that there are probably estates there. So what's the actual solution for this problem? It's quite simple, yet so difficult for the government, which is low-cost housing. I mean, build low-cost housing and reduce taxes for those that build low-cost housing. Also, it's just going to solve the problem. I mean, there's so much estates in Abuja. There's so much construction going on every corner in Abuja. I mean, every billboard in Abuja is almost a real estate billboard. Everyone is advertising, come buy a house, come buy a house. How do you buy a house when you can't afford it? Not everybody can afford it. There have to be low-cost housing or systems where people can pay instrumentally over the period of 5, 10 to 30 years, mortgages, stuff like that, for people to be able to afford homes. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, kindly give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.